Start. Welcome, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Nancy Gass, and I am the manager of the Gold Star Family Home Program at the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. I am also the surviving spouse of United States Army Green Beret Staff Sergeant Gerard Jerry Gass, Jr. I am incredibly honored and humbled to be with you here today. I'd like to begin by thanking the National Park Service for allowing us to carry out this event here on the sacred grounds of this majestic location. I would also like to thank Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Parisi, Major Juan Diaz, and all the soldiers from Fort Wadsworth who are with us today. I'd also like to thank our esteemed guests for joining us. We are honored to have three remarkable women who, like me, are Gold Star spouses and Tunnel to Towers Gold Star Family Home Program recipients. Two United States Marine Corps combat veterans who are Tunnel to Towers Smart Home Program recipients, and three members of the House of Representatives who also proudly served the nation in our armed forces. You will be hearing from each of our guests this morning. If you would please stand, if you're not already standing, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Present arms!
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, please join me in welcoming Frank Siller, the chairman and CEO of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, who will be making an important announcement this morning, today.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you for the sacrifice made by you and your entire family for our country. You know, we went to war over 20 years, almost 20 years ago because of what happened on September 11th, 2001, where I lost my youngest brother, Stephen. He's a New York City firefighter who strapped 60 pounds of fire gear on his back, and he ran through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel because it was closed for security reasons. So he strapped the gear on his back, he ran through that tunnel, came out the other side, and he went to help people. He went to serve. He went to save. And while giving up his life, it was the greatest rescue mission ever in the history of our country. Over 25,000 people saved that day, but we lost 2,977 of souls, American souls, that day. And I remember a few days after 9/11, it was September 14th, when President George Bush came to Ground Zero, and he was standing on the rubble, and he put his arm around a firefighter, Bob Beckwith. It's an iconic picture. And President Bush started to speak, and a firefighter, as usual, didn't matter, he yells out, "I can't hear you." So somebody gave the president a megaphone, and he said, "I can hear you. I can hear you, and the people that knocked down those buildings, they're going to hear from all of us." And it was a call to action. And many of our men and women who saw that signed up to serve America, to protect America, to make sure it didn't happen again on our homeland. The largest attack ever. Countless men and women saw what happened on September 11th and joined our military. Some of those men and women paid a big price. There was over 50,000 of them that were injured. Some of them were catastrophically injured, and which we have a few of them here with us today. We have Corporal Larry Bailey. In 2011, he and his unit were ambushed. Larry lost 3 limbs, but he lost more than that. He lost some of his closest friends. Also, we have Sergeant Rob Jones, who lost both legs above his knees in 2010 while deployed in Afghanistan. And we have, give him a round of applause. Also, we have Congressman Brian Mast with us, Army Staff Sergeant. It was September 19, 2010, while clearing a path for his U.S. Army Rangers, stepped on an IED, and he gave 2 of his limbs for our country. Thank you, Congressman, for being here. Do you know I believe there are 91 members of Congress who are serving our military right now. We also have 2 of those great congressmen with us, Congressman Lee Zeldin, Lieutenant Colonel of U.S. Army Reserve, and Congressman Michael Waltz, Colonel, U.S. Army National Guard. Thank you for being here with us today. These great people want to and understand the importance of never forgetting. They paid a great price for our country. Do you know that there were 7,059 men and women who went to serve our country that have given their lives up since September 11, 2001? I'll say that number again because most of Americans don't even know this. 7,059 Americans who have served our country since September 11, 2001 have given their lives so we could come here at this hallowed ground, at this beautiful place, come with our families and live in the freest and the greatest country that has ever existed. And there's been a great price paid for our freedom. And that's why we have Nancy Gass, widow of Staff Sergeant Jerry Gass, who was killed August 3rd, 2014, while he was in combat patrol in Afghanistan. Thank you, Nancy. We have Carmela Raguso, widow of Master Staff Sergeant Christopher Raguso, who was killed March 15, 2018 in a helicopter crash in Iraq. Thank you, Carmela. We have Rebecca Briggs, widow of Tech Sergeant Deshaun Briggs, who also was killed on March 15, 2018 in a helicopter crash in Iraq. Thank you, Rebecca. And Shannon Slutman, widow of Staff Sergeant Christopher Slutman, who was killed April 8, 2019 by who stepped on an IED in Afghanistan. And thank you, Shannon, for being here. Each one of these families have left behind young children. And we at the Tunnel to Towers Foundation believe it is our responsibility and our honor to make sure that their sacrifice and the sacrifice made by so many other families are never forgotten. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation will honor these great heroes who over the last 20 years, while protecting our country, who have died in the line of duty. We'll be reading those 7,059 names here on Veterans Day for the first time ever at the Lincoln Memorial. We do it because as a nation, we must acknowledge these great American heroes because it is right, it is just, and it is about time that we did it. St. Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, said, "Remember that when you leave this earth, you could take with you nothing that you have received, only what you have given." And these great heroes have given it all. And it is our honor to read their names out loud. Thank you, and remember that we are only the land of the free because of the brave. God bless you, and of course, God bless America.
Thank you, Frank. Now, please allow me to introduce Gold Star spouse Carmela Raguso, wife of New York Air National Guard Master Sergeant Christopher Raguso of the 106th Rescue Wing.
Master Sergeant Christopher J. Raguso. Saying my husband's name and hearing it echo through our capital's National Mall gives me and my family such a sense of pride and honor. What's in a name? For some, it's just that. It's a name. But for others, a few extraordinary others, it holds within itself the story and legacy of ultimate sacrifice, love, and love for one's country, friends, and family. Remembering Chris and the members of Jolly 5-1 who lost their lives while serving in Iraq on March 15th, 2018, helps me and my our two little girls, Mila and Eva, know that all our sacrifice as a family is not forgotten. That why Daddy did what he did is special. And when we keep going and keep his memory alive, we show that we can be as brave. On Veterans Day, as the names are read of the service men and women who have died so others may live, remember that all over the country, there are people who are listening to those names that may be the spouse, mother, father, brother, sister, child, or friend of one of those individuals. Perhaps it will be someone who hears a name for the first time and is inspired to find within themselves a bravery they have never known. Say their names so others won't forget, and then they will truly never be gone. Christopher J. Raguso.
Thank you, Carmela Raguso. I would now like to introduce Gold Star spouse Rebecca Briggs, whose husband, Technical Sergeant Deshaun Briggs, was also a member of New York's 106th Rescue Wing.
Thank you, Nancy. As Nancy said, my name is Rebecca Briggs. My husband, Technical Sergeant Deshaun J. Briggs, died in a helicopter crash while serving in the Air Force in Iraq on March 15th, 2018. I would like to start by saying that I'm so honored to be here on behalf of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation on yet another one of their great missions. The announcement of the reading of each and every name of the brave men and women that made the ultimate sacrifice while serving our great nation in the war on terror post 9/11 on Veterans Day. The reading of the names means so much to my family and I because it is another way to keep my husband's memory alive. My children, Jaden and Ava, were only 2 and 1 years old when their father died. They were so young that they didn't get the chance to know how amazing their dad was. We talk about him every day at home and try to honor his memory because it is so important to know that my children know that their father loved them and died serving the country that we love. Reading Deshawn's name on Veterans Day at the Lincoln Memorial will be another way to show them how their daddy and all of these men and women were heroes and that their sacrifices will never be forgotten. I'd also like to personally thank Frank Siller, the Siller family, and everyone at the Tunnel to Towers Foundation once again for continuing to help and support my family and honor the memory of my husband. Tunnel to Towers has become family over the years, and their dedication to supporting Gold Star families, veterans, and first responders amazes me till this day. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca Briggs. We will now hear from Gold Star spouse Shannon Slutman, wife of United States Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Christopher Slutman.
I wrote a script, and I'm going to go off a bit because when you sit here and you listen to these amazing women and you meet these amazing service members who gave everything, you realize that they all have one thing in common, and that was a drive, a calling, if you will, to service. Whether they were serving in the reserves, whether they were serving in the National Guard, or whether they were serving in the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, I forgot so many, Air Force and Coast Guard, they all wanted to be there because they felt led. Our military is 100% voluntary. They didn't have to go. I've had people countlessly say to me, well, why did Chris go to Afghanistan? He didn't have to go. And my answer was always, if he doesn't, then who will? All of these men and women that are in the 7,059 chose to go. They chose to be there. They chose to fight for our freedom. And for my kids, and for their kids, and for your kids, we need to remember everything that they gave up, everything that they sacrificed. And I know these ladies will back me up on this. We had plans. We had plans for when they came home. We were 3 weeks short of realizing those plans. And you know what? As I tell to my girls all the time, that was not fair. But we pick up every day. And just like Carmela said, we are brave like Daddy. So American people, we need you to remember every single day, because for a Gold Star wife, a Gold Star spouse, every day is Memorial Day. Thank you for remembering.
Wow. Thank you, Shannon. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, we're honored to have the presence of 2 U.S. Marines. First, please welcome Corporal Larry Bailey.
Thank you all. Thank you, Tunnels to Towers. It's always an honor being at events like this. But today I would like us to give, special honor to all of our brothers and sisters that have not made it back, like my friend Mark Goyette. Thank you.
Thank you, Corporal Bailey. I'm now pleased to introduce Marine Sergeant Rob Jones.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. When I think about all the service members that have sacrificed their lives for our country, I'm naturally filled with sadness. But at the same time, I'm filled with thankfulness. I'm thankful that I live in a country that has millions of people in it that are willing to sacrifice their lives for that country. I'm thankful that I live in a country that recognizes the gravity of that sacrifice and is thankful for it. I believe that all Americans should strive every day to live a life that is worthy of that sacrifice. And the first part of that is remembering them, which is why I'm extremely thankful that the Tunnel to Towers Foundation is taking it upon themselves to make sure that we never forget. Thank you very much to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you to all those that are willing to serve.
My goodness. Thank you, Sergeant Jones. As you can tell from these inspiring service members and Gold Star spouses, the losses we've faced as a nation from the war on terror are very real, very personal, and incredibly profound. Remembering these great heroes is our responsibility as Americans. When Tunnel to Towers found me and said they wanted to provide me and my kids with a mortgage-free home in honor of my husband, it had been 4 years since his death. I thought everyone had forgotten about us, about our loss, about what my husband did that day. He was a Special Forces medic. He saved someone right before he died. But Tunnel to Towers found me and said they had heard what happened, even though 4 years had gone by. They said they cared, and they knew loss was a long road. And when they found me, our children were just 4 and 5. Like Rebecca, 1 and 2, when my husband died. It's been nearly 20 years since 9/11, but we all remember it like it was yesterday, where we were and how our breath was taken away when we heard the news. For those that have since received the knock at the door to tell us that our heroes were never coming home, our breath was stolen again, our hearts and souls shattered, our lives and the lives of our children forever changed in the most vast and the most intimate ways, forever. This foundation not only gives hope by providing forever homes, ensuring a long-term, stable home environment for surviving children, it honors its commitment to never forget, carrying the torch for our country in service to families of the fallen. Now, let's hear from 3 more military heroes. First, please allow me to introduce Congressman Lee Zeldin of New York, a man who served 4 years active duty, including a deployment to Iraq, before transitioning to the United States Army Reserve, where he continues to serve our country as a lieutenant colonel. Congressman Zeldin, you have the floor.
It is such an honor to be here for what is a historic moment, the start of something special that hopefully will live on forever in our country. Here on the steps of this memorial, where so much of our nation's past history has been celebrated, forever remembered, a new legacy begins today. Thanks to the vision of Frank Siller, and a great organization, an amazing team. They are here to announce something very special for this upcoming Veterans Day that hopefully will continue for all the generations that will follow us. This isn't just to honor those who are fallen, but also their families and their friends and those they served with for generations in the future to learn about that sacrifice. I represent the 1st Congressional District of New York. The 106th is in the 1st Congressional District, and I was there as they all brought home the remains of 4 heroes lost overseas. And Chris and Deshaun and their fellow brothers, they had a loving family there and friends and community. I vividly remember all the airmen of the 106 standing at attention. You couldn't sense any particular emotion standing out from that formation because they were supposed to stand there at attention. The moment the order was given for them to fall out, every single person turned to the man and woman to their left, right, in front of them, behind them, and hugged each other. That entire unit felt such a heavy loss. Their families felt such a heavy loss. But that loss will never be forgotten. They are willing to defend their lives, sacrifice it all in defense of freedom and liberty. Maybe Deshaun's 2 kids were only 1 and 2 at that time, but they can be proud forever and tell their kids and their grandkids and their great-grandkids about that sacrifice made by their daddy overseas, that willingness, that heroism, to give it all in defense of this flag and our Constitution, our freedoms, and our liberties. And because of Frank Siller, and because of this great organization, we will never forget every man and woman who answered the call after 9/11, serving overseas in harm's way, willing to lay down it all in an all-volunteer army. Many signed up to serve after 9/11. I'm 41. My life could be broke down into 2 parts, before 9/11 and after 9/11. And for the Raguso family and for the Briggs family, everyone back home where we are on Long Island, we can all be so much more proud of, once again, Tunnel of Towers stepping up. And I'll just say one last thing about Tunnel of Towers that you might not know. Just over a year ago, the pandemic hit Long Island hard. And Tunnel of Towers stepped up for all of our first responders, for police, for firefighters, for EMTs, when they couldn't find masks, when they couldn't find gowns, when they couldn't find all of the PPE they needed to do their jobs and to stay safe and to protect their families. You know who was there? I was getting phone calls from Matt Mahoney. I was getting emails from Matt. And Tunnel of Towers stepped up in every possible way that they could with donations that you may not even know about, because they are there every day for our veterans, their families, for our fallen, for our police, our firefighters, our EMTs. And now, with this bold, courageous, important move, the over 7,000 who have fallen overseas, like the Raguso family, like the Briggs family, and so many others, their loved one will never be forgotten. They will be forever appreciated. And any generation that follows in our nation's history here on this memorial where we stand today will always remember, honor, and pay tribute to these great men and women who loved our flag, our freedom, and our liberty. It's an honor to be here with my colleagues and all of you. Thank you to Tunnel of Towers for everything that you do to make America stronger and greater every day.
Thank you, Congressman Zeldin. Please allow me to introduce Congressman Brian Mast of Florida. Congressman Mast served over 12 years in the United States Army, where he was a bomb disposal expert under the elite Joint Special Operations Command. The last improvised explosive device he found resulted in catastrophic injuries, including the loss of both his legs. Despite his injuries, though, Brian remained on active duty and provided his expertise to the National Nuclear Security Administration and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Please join me in welcoming Congressman Mast.
War can be distant, even in a place like this where we're flanked by the names of the fallen from the Vietnam War and the memorial from the Korean War and the memorial directly behind everybody for World War II. But for those families that lost somebody, those families that saw somebody go overseas, it's anything but distant. And the way that the sacrifice of those who went is made whole is to never forget what that sacrifice was for. That's what remembering is all about. It's why what Tunnels to Towers is bringing to fruition in November is so important. Because as long as we don't forget, as long as we learn from their sacrifice, from what they did and why they did it and why they went, then they'll continue to live on forever. And that's what makes their sacrifice worth it. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Mast. Last, but certainly not least, I would like to introduce Congressman Michael Waltz of Florida. Congressman Waltz is a colonel in the United States Army National Guard. He is the first Green Beret to serve in Congress, a combat-decorated veteran and former White House and Pentagon advisor. Please welcome Congressman Michael Waltz.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Frank, I can't tell you how many nights out on that black helicopter, out on missions, when we're going to take down Al-Qaeda, we're going to take down our nation's enemies, what a reassurance it is. What a reassurance it was to me, to my operators, to know that my wife, my daughter, my family would be taken care of if the worst happened. For them, the worst did happen. And you stepped up for your brother and for so many that we've lost, and sadly that we probably still stand to lose. You not only were providing that reassurance so that we could stay mission focused, you and your organization, and organizations like yours are filling in the gaps. Because Lord knows there's a lot of gaps right down the National Mall in that Capitol building. But you all, at least for me, and I think I can speak for Representatives Mast and Zeldner as well, you're why we ran, and you're why we put up with some stuff that isn't so fun sometimes. That building, Capitol building, in 1978 was 75% veterans, 75% of the Congress. In 1978, the House and the Senate were vets. Today, it stands at about 18%. It's a record low in our nation's history. And I think, frankly, that explains a lot of the record amount of dysfunction coming out of Washington, D.C. But I'll tell you what, you and you all keep us inspired. You're why we fight the fights that we do. The first 3 measures that I was able to get through the defense bill were for Gold Star families. Things that should have been fixed a long time ago. Things like getting your benefits taxed at the highest tax bracket, or having benefits from the VA and the survivors' benefits from the Defense Department clash and not make sense. We got those things fixed. We will continue to fight for you all. I just can't say enough how much I appreciate the families of the fallen. These men and women, these studs and heroes right here, we were doing what we signed up to do. The families have to truly bear the burden of that sacrifice. You get 3 bad choices. We don't come home, we come home missing parts, or we come home with invisible wounds that change us forever. Either way, that's what you ladies, that's your choices when we go off to serve. It is a team effort to protect that flag and to serve this great nation. And I tell you what, and I promise you this is my call to action for all of you and for all of America and for this city. And that's to be worthy. Be worthy of what these families and what these wounded warriors and what these men and women that are still in uniform and still out on that wall, be worthy of their sacrifice. I wear one of these bracelets for Staff Sergeant Matt Pacino, one of my Green Berets that as his commander I didn't bring home. He volunteered to be on point every single mission until finally a tripwire got him. I put this on every day. Before I walk up those Capitol steps, I look in the mirror and tell myself, be worthy. And that's my message for all of you. I promise you, as long as we are here with my brothers and sisters that have served and fought for this country, you are not forgotten. You are absolutely not forgotten. And we will continue to fight for what you sacrificed for day in and day out in this great city. God bless you. I salute you. And I just can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Congressman. So many beautiful words were said here today, but I want everyone to realize, you see these banners? Can I ask these 4 banners to just come right up front here, please? Just come right up front. Now, these banners bear the names and pictures of these Gold Star widows that you just heard from. That's their husbands that gave their lives for their country. On November 11th, Veterans Day, when we come here and we read all 7,059 names, we are going to be carrying the banner of a picture of every single 7,059 service members that gave their life for our country. And that is a way that we make sure that we don't forget and we read their names. We want you to join us, Gold Star families that are listening. Go to tunneltotowers.org. We have registration. You can register and sign up to read the names. You could call us. You could talk to Nancy. You could talk to a lot of people there that are there to care. I tell you, the words that are said here today, you heard the loss. You heard the loss. And that we can never forget. And that's what we're going to do this Veterans Day. We're going to read every one of those great souls, their names, out loud, in person, this year and in the future. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America. You guys can go back. If there's any questions, we'll take any questions. If not, that's what I like. It's clear. All right. Thank you for coming. God bless you all.